Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, happy day, wherever, happy night, wherever you are, and whatever time you're watching this video. This is the Ichimoku weekly wrap-up for the week ending September 16th, where we had an eclipse, which sort of shook things up a bit. Maybe you didn't notice it, but a lot of people did. Maybe you didn't know it was the eclipse, but anyway, regardless, it is now the 18th, Sunday night, and I'm delayed in doing my video. I actually had a kind of a crazy day. I managed to kill my phone by trying to update it to the latest OS, and spent pretty much all day messing around with it, but I did manage to fix it. So I'm very happy. I'm not yet ready to buy the iPhone 7. I'll probably be waiting for the iPhone 8 myself. Anyway, we'll see what happens. You know, I'm kind of the if it ain't broke, don't fix it school. So anyway, let's get to the charts. So looking at the ES here, we see on the weekly time frame that I'm going to just let you know that I will be analyzing the second to last candle. This is the new candle that's just forming, this little bullish looking nubbin. I'm not actually sure why we ripped like 7 points shortly after the open, or maybe an hour after the open. I don't really know why that happened. Maybe some Japanese news. I haven't checked on that. I'm just catching up here. So we're going to be talking about the last candle. I might mention the previous candle. I mean the current candle as it relates also. But so last week's candle, we tested above the Tenkan Sen and tested pretty much, I don't know, like not as far down as the Kijun Sen, but this prior support area that you can see was previously resistance in this time frame, like back in June. So we tested that area, and then we put in a nice bounce off that, put in a spinning top type doji. After this very bearish candle, which was, we were technically in a downtrend after this bearish candle, because we made a lower high and a lower low on this candle. We did put in an outside candle here. This is like a bearish engulfing candle. So then last week we put a spinning top candle, which signaled that we could actually get a reversal to the upside. So in order for that to be confirmed, we're going to need to see a higher high and a higher low. So far we have that in the new candle. So let's zoom in a little bit closer and talk about some levels. We see that the Tenkan Sen and the Kijun Sen are both flat. That suggests we're going to be trading in a range. The range is between the Kijun Sen at 2086.50 and the Tenkan Sen up here at 2145.88. So 2145.88 is going to be significant resistance. If we do start moving above that, we do have this gap area to this bottom of this candle here, which is like 2154.50. Then we have, you know, plenty of other levels up here until, you know, back to the former all-time highs. So that 2145.88 is the level to watch as far as I'm concerned. Watch that for rejection if we do test up there. If we move lower, obviously there's this level where we put in the close and from 2 weeks ago, and the open around 21. Let's see where that is exactly. 2114.50, 2115 thereabouts. That's a significant area. So if we do move lower, that we should find some support there. We do have an unfilled open body gap here. I'll show you, I'll draw that in for you right now, demonstrate what an open body gap is, at least to me. So I'm using the bottom of this candle body and the top of this candle body. And in fact, actually, that's right where this candle tested to. So we could find support at that level again. So that level is the 2099 area, so right around 2100. The cloud is supportive for a move higher. You see that it is rising. Can't see it right where we are right now in this. There we go. So we still have a flat cloud below for, let's see, this week into the beginning of October, middle of October, we still have a flat cloud. Then we have a rising cloud ahead. So I shouldn't really say that we have a rising cloud supporting bullish activity, because it's not really happening until for another maybe 3 weeks or so. So we still could be attracted lower and possibly come down and test this level or the Kijun-sen below. Anyway, I'm being long-winded about ES. It is bullish except for the fact that it's under the Tenkan-sen. It suggests some sideways action is in store, especially with the flat Tenkan-sen and the flat Kijun-sen. All right, well, let's go to CL. For my CL people, I apologize for missing you last week, but I hope that you liked my additional separate CL video. I hope that was helpful for you. Geez, I have a lot of fibs on this chart. Let me hide them. I tried to do this video earlier, but I was the processing that was taking place with backing up my iPhone and restoring my iPhone kind of made TOS run a little bit slower, and I had a lot of other stuff going on, I guess, on my computer. Rendering like as many Ichimoku charts as I am looking at any given moment is not really easy for a processor, especially on an older Mac, which is what I have. So I would, it would be really awesome if Mac would make a suitable replacement for this one that I am happy with. Maybe we'll get something exciting in the new Mac lineup. So looking at CL, we see that last week's candle came down and tested below the Kijun-sen. I warned everybody everywhere on Twitter, in my chat room, etc., to keep an eye on that level for a bounce, that 43-46 level. I actually bought that level myself, hoping for a swing long, and I got my stop taken out. I had a small profit stop on that and got my stop taken out and never re-entered. I had actually taken a couple of small losses on crude the day before, and I just didn't really want to take another loss, and we had some really retarded stop clearing type action in crude due to the the contract roll, etc., etc., etc. Wow, I'm looking at, I still have the V6 contract on some of my charts, so you can't see my cursor right now, but on one of my other monitors that I'm also looking at, I've got multiple crude contracts I'm looking at the same time. All right, so this is the continuous contract that I'm working with right now. I just wanted to let you know, for those of you who are not aware of that, when drawing Ichimoku's on a weekly time frame, it requires a fair amount of data, and the single contract that is like the X6 contract, the current contract, there's just not enough data, and I'll just show you what it looks like. There's not enough data to draw the chart properly, so that is why I'm working with a continuous contract, and I usually use the continuous contracts on weekly and daily charts most of the time. So if you see a discrepancy in the between the chart that you're looking at and the chart that I'm looking at, it might be that I'm looking at the continuous and you're looking at the specific contract. With shorter time frames, I always look at the specific contracts, and sometimes I look at both, especially with crude, especially on the daily. I find it very convenient because sometimes, both sets of levels will be really handy to have around. So looking at crude, we do see the Chikou is stuck under the cloud. It tried to come up here and test the cloud and could not. It's sort of triangulating here. You can see a pretty obvious triangle pattern happening here. And we came up and broke out of the cloud previously, but the cloud was flat and kind of thin and sideways looking. So we, as is very common after a strong break above the cloud, especially a flat cloud, we pulled back and we're now sort of just chopping around the top of the cloud. In fact, the current candle that just opened is between the Kijun-sen and the Tenkan-sen. The Tenkan-sen is currently at 44.28, and we're trading at 44.10. 19. So keep an eye on that 44.28 number. That is going to be important resistance. And if we start trading above that 44.28 level, then we can expect higher prices up to, you know, all these variety of different resistant levels ahead. All right, I think that's about right for crude. So keep an eye on the top of the cloud, and the Tenkan Sen are confluent around 44.32, and the Kijun Sen is 43.46. If we lose the Kijun Sen at 43.46, we have plenty of support inside the cloud. Since the current candle is inside the cloud and last week's candle closed inside the cloud also, we are technically neutral on crude. All right, I'm going to try to speed this up. I'm being really long-winded. I just made a really excellent rose quartz pyramid, and I might be slightly high on resin fumes, but don't tell anyone. All right, looking at the NASDAQ, we had a really, wow, we had a really bullish candle last week. That's interesting. We came down and tested inside. We closed actually slightly under the Tenkan Sen the prior week, and then we put in a huge bounce and finished up by the highs in the NASDAQ. And then the new candle is opening up even above the prior candle, so it's looking very likely that we're going to make a new all-time high in the NASDAQ. The important level of support to watch is 47.32.38. That is the Tenkan Sen, fully bullish on the NASDAQ. Let's look at the Russell. Russell, the previous candle put in, previous week's candle was a spinning top doji after this bearish candle, similar to the ES, looks a lot like the ES, and the new candle is currently open up higher, but is underneath the Tenkan Sen. The Tenkan Sen is going to offer resistance at 1229.70, so keep an eye on that 1229.70 level. If we do get over that, then chances are we're going to go higher, maybe test the highs. Let's see, what else? The Dow. I think sometimes I forget the Dow. Looking very similar to the Russell and ES. We have sideways looking action because we have the flat Tenkan Sen, flat Kijun Sen offering a range. So the top of the range would be up at 18,223, the bottom of the range down at 17,792. So keep an eye on those two levels for the week as far as holding this range in. Anything above that 18,223 level, especially a close above that level, would put us back into the potential all-time highs zone. Just on a little side note, I've been finding that you know, I've been trading for a while now. I've been trading full time for over 7 years, and I've been finding that I have a certain intuition about the underlying price action. Like, even if price action is on the surface looking bullish or on the surface looking bearish, sometimes it feels different than that. And I noticed that when we were selling off last week, it sort of seemed like we were, or sorry, 2 weeks ago, the recent sell-off sort of felt like not that bearish to me. It didn't, but like prior to that, when we made new highs, it didn't really feel that bullish either. So it's kind of strange. It's a very strange market at the moment. But hopefully, now that kids are getting back in school, we've already seen pick up in the volume. Even the last week, I noticed the volume has been a lot better than it was in August. So, so hopefully things will improve in the markets. Maybe things will start to make a little bit more sense. But until then, we'll see. So looking at gold, we see gold is trading in the same kind of range between the flat Tenkan Sen and the flat Kijun Sen below. Last week's candle was bearish, confirming a lower high and a lower low. We put in a very big topping spike, and this is a gravestone type candle, looking like asking for a trend reversal to the downside after we had this hammer type candle the week before, looking for a trend reversal to the upside. So basically gold is just sort of flagging, and we can look for potential resistance at the 1341.50 level and potential support at the 1289.50. And now this will be a good time for me to get chatty because the my screen is frozen. It's possible I might have to pause the video and come back when my screen starts reactivating, but I'll keep babbling for a second. So we do have a nice supportive rising cloud here. That's funny, there we go. We do have a nice supportive rising cloud here for gold. So we could do a bit of flagging sideways and then eventually move higher. Let's look at silver. Silver's also doing like a bull flag kind of thing, but it is underneath the Tenkan Sen at 1963 thereabouts, and so it's sort of midway between the Tenkan Sen and the Kijun Sen. The Kijun Sen's all the way down at $18. So those are your range boundaries thus far on silver, but overall it's pretty much bullish, but in a downtrend still at the moment. Really needs to get back over 1964, 1965 in order to get back on the real bull train for silver. And those of you who might have been watching my videos for a while or have known me on Twitter for a while might know I'm a bit of a perma bear on silver. I don't buy the fundamental story, but maybe I haven't watched quite enough infomercials or something like that. Let's look for ZB. ZB is 30-year Treasury note. We see that it was very bearish following the DAX lower, but last week did put in a spinning top type doji, suggesting potential for a reversal to the upside. We did come in, and I had drawn this potential support level. The reason that I drew this purple level here at 164.13 is because the Chikou would and did come into the Tenkan Sen and find support there. And indeed, price itself did find support there as well. So that's a very important tool to use, the Chikou span. You do not want to remove that from your chart. Some people do. Some quote-unquote, famous Ichimoku teachers just rip that thing off their chart. That's just ignorant, if you ask me. It's so handy. So price action is still above the cloud, so technically ZB is still bullish. We could consolidate sideways, matching this sort of flat rectangular cloud. We could just chop around sideways in this area below the Kijun Sen and the Tenkan Sen, and then follow the cloud higher as we move into the late fall and early winter. That's in America, late fall and early winter. End of the year, November and December. All right, let's look at the 10-year. Similar to the 30-year, except that we did actually come down and test the cloud here. The Chikou came down and tested actually below the Tenkan Sen, and now it's currently below the Tenkan Sen. So if you want to be bullish the 10-year, you really want to see the Chikou get back above the Tenkan Sen, which it could do. Then we do have a flat Tenkan Sen above here. Current price could be attracted towards the flat Tenkan Sen. We do have a bear cross. Bear cross is when the Kijun Sen is crossed over the Tenkan Sen. We see this pink line is the Kijun Sen. So bear crosses are not that bearish when price action is still above the cloud. So keep that in mind. We could, if we do get a bounce and continue higher, we could easily get a cross back to the bull cross configuration. So look for potential resistance at 131.150 and potential support down here at the cloud at let's see, where is the cloud? 128.240. Is that where it is? No, I'm sorry, bear with me. 129.270. The bottom of the cloud is 128.240. All right, what next? Let's look at the dollar. Then I'm probably gonna let you go do other things. Your attention span is probably... I'd be really impressed. Why don't you leave me a comment if you made it all the way to this part in my video. All right, looking at the dollar, we see that we had a huge rip at the end of last week. there's been so many rate rumors lately, but we did get a big ramp at the end of on Friday. We're still maintaining above the Tenkan-sen, and the new candle here, we did put in a close above the Tenkan-sen. So the range that we're trading at the moment on the dollar is between the Tenkan-sen at 95.83 and the cloud up here at 96.56. So it will be very interesting to see what happens with the dollar if we manage to actually trade up towards the cloud, or if we lose the Tenkan-sen and trade back into this range that's defined by the Tenkan-sen and the Kijun-sen below at 94.75. But it's a pretty tight range overall, and if I zoom out on the larger scale of the chart, you can see that it's just been this like huge choppy bull flag of semi-meaninglessness. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. So I want to thank you for joining me. If you're interested in learning Ichimoku, I am really happy with the way my chat room is right now. The people in there are fantastic. Everybody's learning from each other, interacting, having cool conversations. But if you're interested in joining that, you really want to, if you're dedicated and really want to learn Ichimoku and make money off our great calls at the same time, then check out my website at cloudchartist.com, and feel free to contact me anytime. You can hit me up on Twitter at CloudChartist, or shoot me an email, cloudchartist@gmail.com. And have a great week, and we'll catch you next time.